Shanghai American School has 3 campuses: the Pudong campus, where I spent most of my 8th grade year, the Puxi campus, and Microcampus. Microcampus is a 4-week-long excursion into a small village in Yunnan province. Our goal is to use experiential learning, expand our intercultural understanding, to have personal growth, and to leave a positive impact on the village and the environment. Usually 16 students go per trip. However, ours had only 9. We were the 12th group to travel to Xizhou, and we are called Limitless. This is me. My name is Anna, and I am 14 years old. I have an older brother and a cat and a dog, who I definitely missed while in Xizhou. I was born in the States and lived there until I was 10 when I moved to Shanghai. In Shanghai, some of the things I enjoy doing are hanging out with friends, acting, singing, and cooking, which leads me into my project. Before arriving in Xizhou, everyone decides upon a topic to study while at Microcampus. Originally, my topic was to host a case study on one specific restaurant or food vendor. However, once I arrived in Xizhou, I soon realized that I didn't want to spend all my time in one place. I realized that I wanted to learn the stories and lives of multiple people. As I reflect on my 4 weeks of study in Xizhou, I learned about people's perceptions of Xizhou cuisine, I learned about the people in the food industry, and I learned about myself. Perceptions of Xizhou cuisine. When I asked someone what the locals favored eating, some told me that they liked what they had when they were little kids, food from their parents' generation. Others told me that the locals favored fish because Lake Arhai was so near. A few other answers I got were anything spicy or stir-fried vegetables or cold noodles. Bottom line, barely any of them were the same, which leads us into the answer to baba. Xizhou baba is a local snack that can be made either salty or sweet. I decided to ask the locals whether they preferred xianda or tianda, salty or sweet. At first, most of the people said that the locals enjoyed the sweet baba while the tourists liked the savory. However, I soon started getting the opposite answer, that the tourists like it sweet and the locals prefer salty. Then I talked to Mrs. Lee from Yard Entrance. She told me that my findings are wrong. There is no all locals like this or that. Everyone has their own opinion. She says she likes hearing multiple people's perspectives and that there is a quote she enjoys, which translates to, 4 people means 4 different opinions. The people. As I was walking through the morning market, I came upon Mr. Yang. He is in his mid-40s, has 2 sons, aged 18 and 10, and works as a fruit stand owner. In his early life, Mr. Young was very well educated. In fact, he graduated high school with straight A's. It seemed strange that he did so well and didn't go to a city for a higher-paying job. But by then he had already met his wife, so he wanted to stay in Xizhou for family. After high school, he became a traveling clothes salesman. Once his eldest son was born, he settled down and opened his fruit stand in order to provide more money. When I asked him if he was happy with his life and his job, he said, "Well, you're living anyways, so you might as well be happy. There's no point not to be." Then I asked him what he wants for his kids. He said, "I know this sounds like a bad answer, but I want them to make more money. If I'm being honest, more money equals a better life." Now I'll move on to Mrs. Zhang. She makes fresh cheese with the help of a wok and her 2 cows in the courtyard of a 90-year-old house. Mrs. Zhang was taught by her mother how to make this cheese when she was a teenager. She has been married for 18 years and has a son who is 15 and goes to school in Xizhou. She and her husband are both of the Bai minority. Last year, she also opened up an embroidery shop in order to gain more customers. Depending on how much milk she gathers each morning, every day she spends about 3 solid hours making cheese, and not including tourist attention. The cheese can be eaten in 3 ways: dried, fried, or fresh. It is usually served with sugar and rose petal jam. I mentioned Mrs. Lee before when she gave me insight about perspectives and how different people feel different ways. Currently, Mrs. Lee works at her older brother's restaurant, Yard Entrance, or Yuanzako. At age 16, she dropped out of school and moved to Kunming, where she did various jobs for 15 years. Also while there, she met her husband, who was in the army, and had her first child, Carrie, whom I've become friends with. After pressure from her husband's family, Mrs. Lee got pregnant with her son and moved back to Xizhou. She has not registered her son. Her husband's parents also moved to Xizhou to help out with the kids. Once Mrs. Lee's husband is dismissed from the army, she hopes to register and pay the fine for their son, and then save up enough money to open up a guest house in Xizhou. Over the course of the trip, I learned so many things about myself and how to make me a better me and my life a better life. When I first began interviewing the locals, I believe our talks were awkward and too strict. I would ask my questions and leave, like an interrogation. However, as the trip went on, I realized what I do reflects strongly onto the person I am having a conversation with. If I act polite and relaxed, naturally, the other person would feel the same, and maybe even open up to me more. Out of the many life lessons that Mr. T taught us, one that resonated with me was the idea of stopping. In Shanghai, or almost any city, we just keep on going, never taking a break to appreciate our surroundings. But in Qizhou, we have and make the time to just stop and watch, or listen, or smell, or taste, or feel, or all of the above. This is something that I cherished, especially since Qizhou is so beautiful. During Mr. T's presentation on genetics, he made a comment about how people, humans, don't really look all that different to each other. And as I talked more with locals in the village, I realized that this is true for people in general as well. Even though everyone has their own journey, the people in Qizhou and pretty much everywhere else all basically want one thing in life: to be happy. And how that is achieved doesn't really make a difference. What I learned about Qizhou cuisine is that there is no real definition. Everyone has their own ideas and preferences on what they enjoy eating, and the tourists aren't going to affect that either. What I learned about the people of Qizhou is that everyone has a unique journey that makes them who they are. Also, everyone just wants to be happy, and most of them are. What I learned about myself is that my attitude reflects on others, that humans' differences are insignificant, and that stopping and appreciating is important in my daily life. Overall, Microcampus was an amazing experience for me because not only did I learn the stories of so many interesting people, but I learned about myself as well. I will always be grateful to Mr. T, Miss Mai, the Lindens, the kind people of Qizhou, and everyone else who gave me this unforgettable opportunity. I know that I will always remember this experience, and I will frequently think about the significant life lessons I learned and the people I met in Qizhou.